Good evening, Mr. Patel. Please, take a seat and let's talk about this breakthrough of yours.
I think I've cracked it.
The artificial intelligence you've been working on.
This is a computer system that might be smarter than a human. I could show it a piece of art, and the stainless being could judge that art. It could decide if it liked it.
Stop. Do you realize you just came to a film critic and told him that a robot can do his job now? Sorry, Slumdog, but this isn't Johnny 5 film reviews. This is Movie Night. Hello and welcome to Movie Night, in-depth film reviews in less than 5 minutes. I'm your host, Jonathan Paula. Tonight we'll be taking a look at 3 more recent releases from winter 2015. Beginning in chronological order, let's take a look at Focus. Directed by Glenn Ficarra and John Requa, this romantic dark comedy more than doubled its $50 million budget within a month of its February 27, 2015 release. Will Smith stars as an accomplished con artist who runs into an old flame while working a job, sending his plans and feelings for a loop. Once the most successful and bankable star in all of Hollywood, the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air has unfortunately been on a bit of a slide lately after the disappointing After Earth, but thankfully he's at top form here. Endlessly charming and confident, he embodies the rich and powerful person all men want to be. He's shrewd and sharp, but has a penchant for gambling and the beautiful Margot Robbie. Following her breakout turn on The Wolf of Wall Street, the Australian is a surprising match for Smith, both intellectually and physically, regardless of their 22-year age difference. Advising his new protege on the strategies of a successful con, Smith tells Robbie that you need to be willing to die with the lie.
I got this.
What?
Give me some shade.
See, I try hard to do right, but I keep on doing wrong. Let me do my thing.
Sorry, my heel keep you. You're such a drama.
See, you say
Knows
stop.
how to treat a lady. Mari.
No,
Thank you, boys.
I'm gonna say more things.
You're in.
Really?
Congratulations, you're a criminal.
Despite their constant thievery and duplicity, these are compelling characters you'll find yourself rooting for, even if they rarely show remorse for any of their reprehensible actions. The R-rated plot is rife with twists and turns, many coming at the expense of the audience as well as the other characters. But the surprises are often ridiculous and unrealistic, which doesn't help the already disjointed plot. The 105-minute film is paced well enough, but feels almost like 2 entirely disconnected stories. Focus is the first major feature to be edited on Apple's Final Cut Pro X, but its frequent flashbacks and other non-linear narrative devices only serve to confuse the viewer rather than strengthen the story. Individual scenes and characters provide fantastic moments and great entertainment, however. A high-stakes impulse betting spree against eccentric millionaire B.D. Wong during a football game becomes particularly tense. Later, a private negotiation constantly interrupted by the deafening noise of passing Formula One cars provides some unique drama. Bright colors and locations fill the 16:9 frame, while Nick Urata's score has an upbeat energy to it that gives the movie a decidedly playful vibe. Showcasing the lucrative underworld of con artists where the twists are expected and the characters can't be trusted, this movie often feels like a modern, sexier version of the 1970s classic The Sting. But where that film excelled was with a huge reveal in the final moments that locked everything together in a satisfying way. The ending here, however, was sloppy and rushed. With some wonderful one-liners, fun criminal scenarios, and an extremely gorgeous leading lady, there's plenty to enjoy about this movie, but all of its moving parts sadly don't amount to much. Focus displays flashes of excitement, but is ultimately unfocused. I thought it was just alright. For tonight's poll question, what's your favorite artificial intelligence and/or robot-based movie? Leave your response as a comment below. And speaking of robots, my next review is for Chappie. The third release from acclaimed South African director Neill Blomkamp was released worldwide on March 6, 2015. Within a few weeks, the sci-fi action film had made over $75 million against its $49 million budget. In the near future, where Johannesburg is patrolled by a robotic police force, one droid gained sentience, resulting in the world's first artificial intelligence. The result of intentional programming rather than a random short circuit, this RoboCop goes from being a pile of real steel to having real feelings. All joking aside, this picture really does feel like the bastard child of those 3 similar and ultimately better movies. which have all been reviewed here on the show, by the way. The R-rated movie stars Blomkamp's frequent collaborator Sharlto Copley as the motion capture and voice likeness of the titular creature, a sympathetic being who is taken advantage of by his criminal babysitters. Chappie is an expressive hero that begins life as a cute and curious robot, before becoming a vulgar gangster. His maker is portrayed by the young and talented Dev Patel, who warns his creation, "Don't let people take away your potential." South African rappers Ninja and Yolandi appear as exaggerated versions of themselves, commanding a great deal of the screen time in the process. And because their characters are closer to home, their performances feel the most authentic in the cast, unfortunately to the detriment of being annoying and unlikable. The 120-minute movie also features Sigourney Weaver, once again playing some hard-ass female executive in a sci-fi story, while Hugh Jackman walks around with tight shorts and a distracting mullet as the film's misguided villain.
300 meters up ahead. Approach slowly. Stop at a safe distance.
Well, boys, the target appears to be a police droid, but I can assure you it is not. Now, don't be intimidated. But he's as smart as a dunny rat, so full aggression, okay?
Copy that. Copy that.
Oi!
A movie like this, though, lives and dies on the effectiveness of its hero, and while Chappie is amusing and well animated, he just isn't that interesting. The dog-eat-dog world Chappie must survive in is illustrated rather literally, when Ninja shows his new robot friend a dog actually eating another canine. Blomkamp's kinetic handheld style is ever present, shooting the filth and desolation of urban Johannesburg in the wide 2x35 frame. I suspect the robot droids throughout the story were accomplished with a combination of puppetry, life-size suits, and CGI, but the very fact that I can't say for certain which technique is used when is a testament to the film's impressive visuals. With some funny moments, impressive effects, and an endearing allegory about humanity, this is certainly a worthwhile picture, but it's about 30 years too late to really resonate with audiences. Besides that, it's inconsistent with its message, preaching the virtues of robotic impartiality one minute before dismissing synthesized life as unpredictable and dangerous the next. Fans of Blomkamp and AI-focused movies will likely enjoy this movie once or twice, but I doubt I'll watch it again. Chappie presents some unique visuals but remains very familiar and unambitious. I had a good time with it though, so I'm scoring it accordingly. Finally tonight, my review of Insurgent. Within 3 days of its March 20th, 2015 release, this $110 million dystopian action film recouped its entire budget. The young adult adventure directed by Robert Schwensky picks up where Divergent left off, as we follow Shailene Woodley as the leader of a resistance force hell-bent on taking down corrupt officials to save their faction-oriented society. Based on the second book in the Divergent trilogy by Veronica Roth, this installment feels like exactly that, the unfinished middle chapter of a larger story. Familiarity with the first picture is absolutely required, as this film cuts right to the chase, rather literally in fact, when we watch our intrepid outlaws escape a pursuing police force. The young Woodley continues to impress, leading the 119-minute film with a determined anxiousness that makes her performance believable and honest, although truth be told, I'm not a fan of the short hair. The hugely overcrowded cast includes Theo James, Jai Courtney, Miles Teller, Ansel Elgort, Kate Winslet, Ashley Judd, Octavia Spencer, Ray Stevenson, Maggie Q, Zoe Kravitz, Naomi Watts, and Daniel Day Kim. Of particular note, though, is Courtney as the relentless villain, exhibiting shades of Terminator's T-1000 when he's in hot pursuit of our heroes. But his co-star James feels stiff and disinterested, while Winslet is frankly too good of an actress to even be involved here. And in fact, this is the first sequel that Oscar winner has ever done.
Ginny's never gonna stop searching for you.
Why? What does she want with her? Tell me.
Look, all I know is she's exactly what Ginny needs. She's the perfect subject.
You're responsible for the death of hundreds of people. You know the punishment for that.
Listen, I've found a way to live with the blood on my hands. And can you?
A thrilling simulation sequence that sees Shailene climbing around a rotating floating house is a striking and well-executed visual that feels much like a live-action version of a 3D Mario platforming level. Between the gunfights and zip-line takedowns are some really strong emotional moments though, including a character-defining fistfight on a speeding train as it heads towards the ruins of Chicago. Generally though, the dialogue here is too clunky and precise to be taken very seriously. And as if the parallels to the Hunger Games franchise weren't strong enough with the first installment, this sequel feels particularly unoriginal. In a market that has quickly become oversaturated with futuristic teenage romance and rebellion, this PG-13 rated effort just doesn't do enough to separate itself from the pack. That being said, it's honestly a really exciting and competent film. Despite an annoyingly heavy reliance on dream sequences and simulations, each individual scene is strongly crafted and quite compelling. As a cohesive narrative, however, Insurgent begins to fall apart. Character decisions, the timing of events, and the locations of scenes all feel particularly contrived. As the continuation of a story, this is a well-paced and satisfying experience that does its job of getting you interested in where things will go next. But as a standalone feature, it feels somehow lacking. Commonplace ideas with an entertaining execution make Insurgent a cool film. Finally tonight, a look at what you're saying about films currently playing in theaters. If you see a new movie in theaters, tweet your review with the JPMN hashtag. In 2 weeks, I'll be taking an extended look at the ever-growing Fast and Furious franchise, as I review all 7 of its films, including my thoughts on the upcoming Furious 7, which comes out nationwide on April 3rd. If you've seen these films, share your opinions by voting in the polls below or by leaving a comment review. I read them all and will include the best in the next episode. If you'd like to watch more Movie Night videos, check out the related reviews on the right, or click subscribe to be notified of all future uploads. Also, be sure to follow me on social media for updates and exclusive content between episodes. Once again, my name is Jonathan Paula. Thank you for watching and listening. Until next time, have a good movie night.